going to.
Yeah, go for it. Go for the record.
Is it recording? Did you guys get a?
I just consented to recording.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so it's recording. So hi, everybody. Welcome to our first meeting. Today we have Chris and
Cindy.
Cynthia, sorry, talking today. And I know that you guys are part of the school system, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're both teachers at Isbell in Santa Paula.
Okay, and you were going to talk to us about, sorry, it was the watershed?
The BWET program. And why don't you introduce yourself too, Mia?
Oh, my name's Mia. Oh, and here is Chris Swan. He's the other co-president of the club.
Sorry,
Um,
I'm hoping it's longer than expected. Sorry about that, folks.
oh, that's okay. So, we are trying to do these meetings bi-weekly this year. We have them every other Wednesday of the month. So we're trying to be more regular and be more connected with this virtual setting. Hopefully we can just get a little bit of a bigger community, having people come out and learn about different aspects of what's going on right now, even while we're virtual. So if you guys, I don't know which one of you or how your presentation's gonna go, if one of you's gonna go first or the other.
I think we'll do the introduction and then we'll just go from the slideshow. Is that okay, Cindy?
Yeah, do you have control? Can you show the slides? Do you
I'm
need me-
not sure.
Yeah, does Chris Swan and Mia, does he have access to share?
You should.
Believe so, yeah. Yeah, I think it's open to everyone because I can share screen.
Cindy, do you want to share a screen?
Sure.
Okay.
And you'll just have to tell me when.
Yeah.
And welcome everybody who's attending here. I'll just throw out for folks who don't know me. My name is Rosa Bradley. I am the director of the Santa Rosa Research Station, and we really appreciate your attendance here with part of this student committee. And we are going to make all these talks. We're recording, and all these talks will be available on our YouTube channel that is part of our website. And I'm working closely with Chris and Cindy on this BWET project, and very thankful and happy that they're here to talk about it.
Thanks, Russ.
Yeah. Thank you, Russ. Okay, Cindy.
All right, get this.
Yeah. Okay, so just want to take a second to first acknowledge Native peoples whose ancestral homelands we are gathering here for today and which we will be presenting for you today, as well as the diverse, vibrant Native communities who still currently make their home in Ventura County as well. My name is Chris Rini. Currently I'm a middle school teacher, special education specialist in Santa Paula, California. I am here because I have been involved with the Crossing the Channel program for the past 7 years as a writer and evaluator and educator for the program. Go ahead, Cindy.
Okay, and I'm Cindy Martin. I'm a classroom teacher at Isbell Middle School in Santa Paula. I teach science at the middle school, and then we were able to start an environmental science elective last year with the BWET program using Crossing the Channel as our main focus. And I've been teaching for many, many years, and happy to be involved in the program and working with Russ and Chris. So I'll just talk a little bit about our current reality. Mia, I loved that you said, this forum is to connect virtually, because, we see that every day. So there's my classroom, my poor empty classroom, waiting for kids to come back into it. And then of course, my current classroom, which is right here. So, we're all doing our best to connect the kids with each other and also to connect them with us, but then ultimately to connect them to their space and the environment. And that's our main goal.
Yeah, so for
Oh, you want to go back?
yeah, sure. So for us, distance learning began in March, as you guys all know. We're currently in February. The reality of distance learning for K-12, specifically middle school, is 4 to 5 hours per day, depending on schedules. So that's 4 or 5 hours a day spent in front of a computer screen. We're experiencing a variety of results. I know Cindy can talk about this as well, but anywhere from kids really engaged to kids never have signing on since March, to kids who sign on once a week, to kids who sign on and don't say a word. So all of these things are sort of a reality that we are all experiencing in the K-12 community, especially for those that are still online. What does this mean for us moving forward? It's not a rhetorical question. I don't know. To what extent have young people's connection to nature been affected? Again, we don't know. This is all very new. We're still very much in it, and it's still very much changing on a daily basis. So all things we'll find out a lot about in the coming months, I'm sure.
And just to piggyback on that, one of the great things that we've been able to do, and we'll talk more about that as we get into the grant, but the hands-on science is our core philosophy. And so you can see a student up above who is sorting native seeds. We were able to send home hands-on science kits. So while I'm demonstrating on my teacher setup, the kids have a similar setup at home. They have the calipers and the microscope and the potting soil, and they're doing these things along with me. So that's increased engagement. And, even if it's just our backyard, even if it's just looking out the window with binoculars, we're trying to connect kids in nature, even in this pandemic. All right, next. All right, your turn, Chris.
So I know I'm speaking to the choir for this one, but as we all know, the Earth is currently experiencing a record rate of extinction, affecting mammals, amphibians, and bird species that is the result of exploitation and loss of habitat, both primarily related to negative human impacts upon the environment. As we continue into the 21st century, environmental educators across the country, we are tasked with the continuing challenge of creating meaningful environmental education programs that reflect ever-changing social and technological landscapes. Go ahead, next slide, Cindy. As our youth, because of our current situation and situations that occurred before distance learning, our youth have become more dependent on obtaining information through the web and media. They're becoming increasingly disconnected from nature and environmental issues facing the world and our local communities. So I want to share this data with you guys. There's a lot here to look at, and I know there's a lot left not analyzed in this simple table. But this is sort of the history part of our grant and our program, sort of what formulated why we wanted to create this. And some of the more recent stuff with Black Lives and things that have come up recently in the United States. So this table is just depicting national park visitors more white than the US. So I want to bring your attention to the top of the graph. Let me get rid of this, hold on. And the US population, so the light green bar is 63.7% identified as white or non-Hispanic. And I really want to focus on the demographic of Hispanic / any race. And again, I just want to, put in the caveat that there is definitely more analysis that can be done with these numbers. But 16.3% of the population currently identified as Hispanic. And I want to point out that this is a national park study of visitors that have gone to visit national parks across the country. So the big disparity here that I want to highlight is the 16.3% and the 9% visitation to national parks in the country. Big disparity. Of course, you can look at the other demographics as well. But for me, this represents sort of the opportunity gap that we want to address. And opportunity gap has been highlighted with Black Lives and education, but then also to remember the fact that this is opportunities in the informal science education area. So national parks provide our country with one of the largest federally funded informal science centers across the country. We have 4 of those, right? 3 of those, sorry. 3 of those in Ventura County. So the Channel Islands National Park, Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary, and Santa Monica Mountain National Recreation Area. So what we're seeing across the country is people not being able or not taking advantage of these things. Why is this important? This is kind of personal anecdotal, but really from my experience in life and knowing people in education and just in life, I kind of noticed that people follow through all the way when they're most passionate about those things. And how are those things developed in an individual? I really truly think it begins when you're young. So I just wanted to share this with you as just to highlight that opportunity gap and take our focus away kind of from score disparities or national test scores and that kind of thing. Again, we have 3 national parks in Ventura County. All right, next slide, Cindy. All right, so this is the next graph that I wanted to show you guys. This is put out by NSF. Pretty regularly, they update this information. And it is basically showing, it is the science and engineering indicator study that they put out regularly. This particular graph is going to point at the US working force population, which is ages 20 to 34. And I really want to focus in on this red area, again, Hispanic, Latino, just because it's our demographic that we are, our participants, our K-12 audience. So again, a bunch of disparities here in enrollment in higher education degrees. So currently self-identified Hispanic, Latino, and let me check, about 20% of the population is currently identified as Hispanic, Latino. As we look down, associate's degree recipients, that number jumps up 27.5%. Go down again to bachelor's degree is where we start to see some disparities. And those disparities, 14% here. Master's degree, we're getting a little larger here. Master's degrees, 11%. And then finally, doctorate degrees, right around 8%. Those numbers are pretty bleak. But I gotta tell you, since we've started crossing the channel, those numbers, there is sort of a silver lining here. College enrollment has increased over the past 8 years pretty significantly across the board for minority, underserved populations. But what I wanted to point out here was the disparity that still exists in those upper degrees, those master level doctorate degrees. And again, this is for science and engineering indicators. So specifically for those 2 degrees, those 2 areas of study. So how do those 2 things relate? Opportunities and higher education. I really think building that foundation, that passion, that kinship for the environment, for science, whatever you study, really depends on the opportunities you're provided when you are young. Go ahead, Cindy, next one. And I'm sorry, you guys, if anybody has any questions, please stop me. It's always so much nicer to answer questions, you know? Okay, so the history of crossing the channel. So like we were saying, although Ventura County is geographically geographically part of a variety of rich ecosystems, underserved students rarely have the opportunity to engage personally and academically with the environment. The two driving factors, if you dive into those numbers, usually come down to economics, affordability, and comfort. So when people want to visit these parks and go camp at your national park or your national recreation area, do I see the same people that look like me? Do people recreate the same way that I do? But those end up being the two most common reasons researchers think those disparities exist with national park visitation. So we see those results in the graphs that we were talking about above. So how did Crossing the Channel come about? Well, in 2012, if you guys know this guy here on the left, this is Dr. Hanna. He was hired as the first station director out on the island. At that same time, I was entering a master's degree program at CI. And the requirements for a master's in education are kind of twofold. You can either choose a comprehensive test, or you can choose the path of the master's thesis. And so my life at the time allowed me to take my time. So I approached Hanna, definitely had a personal relationship with him before that, him getting the job on the island. Knew him as an educator, researcher, and family man. And I knew that he was interested in providing education. And I knew the goal basically at the time of the station was to build a fantastic program for the community of Ventura and for CSUCI and for researchers across the world, right? So he was open to listening and based it all on serving underserved students from Ventura County that could not afford to otherwise go out and visit Santa Rosa Island and to access the programming that was being developed and has continued to develop over the years. What a fantastic way to learn about where we live. Not only from being there on the island and being a part of the community, but being able to learn from undergraduate students like you guys and the research and what life was like in college for students that don't often get a chance to engage with that level of participation, right? So Dr. Hanna was open to the idea of providing that opportunity through the station. 4 opportunities came about. So the establishment, of course, of the research station and that very unique partnership between the national park and a CSU campus. The production or the building of a mission statement, which included community members, CI faculty and professors and professional researchers who helped develop the mission and what they wanted to see out on the island. And eventually that resulting in a community outreach aspect of that mission, which I'll share a little bit later. The next opportunity was federal funding. Just being around people that were interested in the same program and developing something that was very similar. Okay, got it. Sorry, my daughter's telling me it's time to take out the trash. Sorry about that. Reality, that's the reality of it. So meeting people from NOAA, sharing our ideas, a lot of synergistic ideas going along, a lot of learning going on together. What could we provide out there? Santa Rosa being 2.5 hours, 3 hours on a boat. Could we bring students out there? What would that look like? What was the insurance issues? How would we support that learning in the classroom? So a lot of dedicated educators involved. Another big factor here was CSUCI's role in the community. So CSUCI has not been around very long in Ventura County. I don't know, Russ, is it like 12 years that they've been a campus? You know?
Yeah, I think initially, I think 2002 or 3. Other folks can correct me from the very start, but that was even before the current campus was in existence. But the university is the youngest and the smallest of the California state universities.
Right, right. And I know that it was a CSUN satellite campus for a while, so that would be interesting to find out. But still relatively new. So I think the point of this was, or of what I'm trying to communicate is that CSUCI became a part of Ventura County community. And what were those things? What were some things that the college could provide, especially through this new research station? You know, like I grew up in Ventura County. Santa Rosa Island was a distant image that you would see from a fishing boat. Same with Santa Cruz, so not a lot of access. And then how would CSUCI engage, and could the community be a part of what was going on out there? Of course, CSUCI became designated as a Hispanic Serving Institute. So there was some momentum there to try to partner up and provide something new for Ventura County. And then of course, the other opportunity that came around was just having dedicated educators that were interested in the program. And I can't stress enough to you as an undergraduate student or anybody, somebody with the same shared view. If you share the view with somebody and you're working on developing and creating something, man, go deep, because those opportunities don't happen very often. So the convergence of all these opportunities led to us really researching the NOAA BWET grant, which is an amazing opportunity. They provide a variety of different levels of investment. So we basically have been applying and receiving funding from both NOAA BWET for the past 6-7 years. And each time we pretty much max out the award, which is around $60,000. All right, Cindy, can we go to the next one? So what are those opportunities? What are the things that we can do together and learning in a group, not only professors and classroom teachers, but families and students and undergraduates and researchers, all of those people coming together as one in this community of practice where we're learning from each other all the time. As an undergraduate mentor, really important to go into this opportunity with the idea that not only am I providing leadership and mentorship for middle school age students, but what can you learn from a middle school student? We go into these things with a lot of information and we quickly have to adjust, right? And we quickly have to understand who we're talking to, what they know, what their interests are, what motivates them, and provide what the island has provided probably all of us with inspiration to learn more. All right, Cindy. So just some pictures of mentors from the past, providing opportunities with things that they know already, things that they're studying at CI, sharing opportunities and experiences from their past. We have some ROV students from Sean Anderson's Pirate Lab from a few years ago, helping out with some engineering and design challenges. Students that really wanted to become teachers and getting their first experience teaching simple lessons, getting their voices, controlling their voices, learning what kind of voice to use in front of a group. Mentors just having fun and getting to know their audience, right? We had a lot of mentor students really interested in presenting protocol. So we do a lot of Sandy Beach protocol and Rocky Intertidal protocol, and a lot of students enjoy sharing what they know about those projects. Just hanging out and having, a good time with students and enjoying this, what we hope is a transformative experience. All right, Cindy, next one. So I'm not going to read the mission, but I do want to highlight the Santa Rosa Island Research Mission, and I wanted to highlight local community education via partnership. Definitely feel like I was a part of that small breakout group that really wanted to see that be a part of the research station. Also want to share NOAA's description of the BWET grant, locally relevant, authentic, experiential learning, stuff we'll talk about in a moment. And also just that they provide $100 million of support for 800 different projects across the country. High quality environmental education is their goal. Yeah, so Cindy, you wanna jump in?
Mhm. So yeah, we're really happy to be able to talk directly to this group because this is a great opportunity for mentorship. So everything that Chris just talked about, getting kids outdoors, making sure that families of color, that children have the opportunity to explore national parks, but especially the national parks that are in their yard, in their backyard. And you have a role to play in that. So in class, connecting with students, this is a great picture of our mentors from last year. So Lizette and David and Danny, Mireya. Mireya is now a teacher in Fillmore. I know that Danny and David and Lizette are continuing on with their studies. We loved having them in class and on the field trips. During field experiences, you'll be helping us with guidance and safety, of course, on the island, sharing unforgettable experiences. But really the experience is about communicating science, and you get professional references, but really mentorship is about letting kids see you, letting kids see who you are and connecting with them. So just a few of the opportunities and just giving you a chance to see, you know, these are the kids you'd be working with, and they're not little kids. We've got middle schoolers ages 11 through 13, and they're ready. They're ready for big adventures. They're ready for big ideas, and they're really ready to meet mentors who can kind of show them what that next step really looks like. So these are our kids. This is who we teach every day. Isbell Middle School is the name of our school. We're located in Santa Paula, which is kind of the mouth of the river, where the river widens into the Oxnard Plains. So just right on the 126 freeway. So from CSUCI, you'd go to, you know, go through Oxnard and hang a right and go upriver. We're that first community. We teach 6th through 8th graders, 11 to 14 years old. Our kids are usually the first to go to college. We're an AVID school. That's a big part of AVID is giving kids the organizational abilities to succeed in school, giving them the idea and then the experience of going to school campuses, seeing themselves on a college campus for the first time, meeting college students. So that's a big part of Isbell's mission. And that's one of the ways that the Crossing the Channel program really meets what our goals are for our students. We have 92% low socioeconomic status, free and reduced lunch program, and 32% of our students are classified as English language learners, although when you factor in, many of them have a primary language that's not English. So our kids are wonderful. It's a small community. These kids have known each other since kindergarten. They'll go to high school together. There's one high school, there's one middle school in Santa Paula. So it's a great family-centered, community-centered place to work. I'm trying to think of any of these. The ROVs, again, just kind of some of the activities that we're doing. This is ROVs on our school campus. This is a environmental connection web, of course. The Native Plant Project, planting on our school garden campus. Of course, the kids at the beach on one of our field experiences. The Recycling Club, starting school-wide recycling. And then one of our students with Rundo Donax that they found at the beach. So really connecting the research that we did upriver with what they found at the beach. Why? Why do we do this? Why do we serve our community? kind of echoing some of the things that Chris was saying, we all protect what we love, and that love has to start with experience. We get kids outside, we let them have a joyful, hopefully transformative experience. That's what we hope for them. That's what we want for them. And they're also becoming stewards. They're taking on the joyful task of loving and protecting our environment. And you can't protect it unless you love it. So we do that through what are called meaningful watershed educational experiences. We can only be what we see, and that's where you come in. We need mentors every step of the way. Our kids need to see strong members of their family, strong members of their community. They need to see people who have done what you've done, who've graduated from high school, who are in college, who are becoming adults with agency and choice over their own life. And they need to see people who love doing the work, who are happy to be with them and are passionate about protecting the environment. This slide and the next one is a little dense with text, so I won't read every word, but the objectives of the Crossing the Channel program, we focus on NOAA's limpets protocols, and really because that gives students the ability to do real science. They're contributing to an ongoing research project that affects policies in their local community. So that's that locally relevant, that's experiential, that's hands-on learning. And then always with the lens, equitable access for all. So the Crossing the Channel objectives, we're creating an experiential Santa Barbara Channel watershed curriculum. We're developing and supporting student knowledge and critical thinking skills. And we're using project-based learning activities to involve students in real world data, with the ultimate goal, of course, of cultivating a community of Channel Island stewards across socioeconomic groups. So we want to make sure that the islands belong to everyone, that our national parks belong to everyone, our Condor Refuge and our National Conservancy Riverside Park spaces, they belong to everyone. So we're giving kids the access. Those pictures, I'll just talk through the pictures. So the top one is our superintendent who went with us to the beach and saw his first Pacific mole crab, his first sand crab. So experiencing that with our students and letting our students see him in that way as well. And then below is one of our great friends of the program, Julie Tomamai, who is sharing her wisdom and her love and her passion and her culture with the students and really teaching them to be stewards. Okay, so I kind of mentioned this before, and this is a big deal with NOAA, with the grant and with the BWET portion, right? The funding portion of our project. So MWEs are the meaningful watershed educational experiences. So we are governed by this guideline, learner-centered. We take kids outside, we provide information and opportunities, but they take away. It's their experience. So we provide this framework and then the kids take from it and run with it. We focus on investigations into local environmental issues that lead to informed stewardship actions. There are multiple elements working together. So learning both indoors in the classroom and outdoors, designed to increase the environmental literacy of all student participants. And then all students, regardless of where they live or their social or economic status, should have the opportunity to participate and benefit from MWEs. So that's the mission of NOAA. We're so proud and happy to have them as our partner. And then just more wonderful, joyful experiences of the kids out and about. So we're governed by the principle of learning by doing. We learn science by doing science. So Limpets is our main student research project. We've also participated in Trout in a Classroom. There's our little alevins getting ready to be released. And each student participates in their own environmental action project that's school-based to benefit our school community and the wider Santa Paula community. So they take what they learn, they internalize it, and then they come up with the projects that are based in that learning. Here's our field experiences. So when you join us, this is what we're doing. Our idea is to go from the upper watershed all the way out to the island. So we're connecting every part of the watershed. So we start with the NOAA Boating Center that's at the Channel Islands Harbor. The kids learn water safety. It's their first time boarding a kayak. It's their first time, some of them even being at the beach. There's a lot of screams and joy and nervousness, and I'm not sure that I want to do this. And at the end of the day, there's confidence, and there's smiles, and there's a group of kids that are, ready for whatever comes next. So we start there, and then we go upriver. So we go up to the Lake Castaic Lagoon. They get to practice with ROVs in a calm water situation. They get to model a dam and learn about the aqueduct system, and then they get to kayak again. By this time, you can see they're solo kayaking, they're brave and enjoying time with their friends, and feeling like they own this. Then we come back to Santa Paula, and Steckel Park is one of our local resources within the city bounds. A lot of kids have been to Steckel Park, so then they return with this new science knowledge. And so looking at it with a scientist's eyes, collecting macroinvertebrates and analyzing water quality, learning to see the ridges and to look for birds and to explore and become scientists. The Nature Conservancy also has their Briggs Road site that's right on the Santa Clara River. A lot of our kids, the Santa Clara River goes right through Santa Paula, and they're told to stay out of it. It's the riverbed. It's a place where you're not supposed to go. And the Nature Conservancy is changing that. So getting kids out to that site and just seeing the river as a different place, a place that's inviting and supports life and is part of their ecosystem. We go to McGrath Estuary. We talk about the importance of the wetlands, and we go to the Ventura Harbor. We practice our limpets protocol, and then we're able to also visit the National Park Service Visitor Center and start to really access this wonderful resource of the islands and ultimately the research center. We go to Carpinteria State Beach. We get another glimpse into Native stories and history of the people who were here before us and the traditions that surround the channel and the islands, protecting and loving those natural resources. And then, of course, we take the kids across the channel. They get to go on a boat and they go to the research station for a 3-day research trip where they're performing real science protocols. They're going on hikes. They're applying their knowledge and their stewardship in a place that before this, many of them would not have had the opportunity to visit. So we're building that passion towards that ultimate trip to connect them with a research station and ultimately to connect them with the school, Cal State Channel Islands, and also as stewards of the environment. Okay, and I think that's the end of our presentation, Chris, unless you had more to say. We'd love to have questions.
Yeah, I'd love to jump in there.
Great.
Oh, it's crazy. All right, so I do want to add on that if you're interested in becoming a mentor, we did write in the current iteration of the grant, we do have some funding available for for undergraduate mentors to get paid, and you should get paid, especially if you're going to dedicate some time to the program. There's definitely different levels of commitment to the program. Obviously, if you're going to get paid, we want to see you come in, meet with us, understand what we're trying to do, goals for students, goals in the classroom. So we do have money available to get paid to do this. The other thing I wanted to throw in there for mentors is we've had a number of mentors use Crossing the Channel as a capstone project. And I'm sure Mr. Bradley can talk to you about what that might involve, but we definitely have had a handful of students do their capstone project with our program evaluation. So there is that opportunity. Of course, we've had mentors become teachers, become informal educators, continue their research in environmental education, become science instructors, and they're all over the country at this point. So if you're interested, I really highly suggest that you take advantage of the opportunity. We would love to have you guys.
I'd like to make a comment on that too. While I haven't worked with your guys' program, I have worked with an outdoor education program that's done similar things like this, and I've done like Trout in the Classroom, and it's really it's amazing work. Like, you learn a lot from the kids, you learn a lot from the outdoors, and it kind of gives you an idea of like what you want to do in the future, like what you want to continue learning in school. Because I did programs like that straight out of high school, and then kind of went to a community college, and then ended up here at CI. And I'm still kind of discovering what's out there and what people are doing. And like, I'm learning today that you're doing things like this too. And I think this is great work, and it really everything that you talked about today is just on point with, you know, what even I, like how I went to school, what my background is. And for anybody who wants to like go and like just even look into this kind of things, it's good just to like go and like watch people do this, even if you don't want to do this for like a long period of time. It's a good like day experience just to take in.
Yeah, thank you, Mia.
If I can, just a moment, I just want to say to Cindy and Chris, great presentation, a super interesting and cool project that you are working in. I you know, as a Latino myself, I understand the kind of reluctance that many of our kind of communities have had in engaging in national park visitation, and you know, all of these. And you know, perhaps I think you're right. I mean, certainly economics is part of it. I think there's also a lack of perhaps information on, you know, what it is that we're going to be expecting once we get to a park, or you know, or there, you know, is it going to be comfortable? Is there going to be a bear going to, you know, eat us alive, and so forth. And so I think that this program that you're doing, kind of, you know, teaching students about the importance and value of nature from an early age is something that is incredibly valuable. You know, it's not only giving them knowledge about the environment, but also a sense of belonging in the community. I think that's really, really awesome. So I wanted to say that, and then ask another question. You know, how many of these kind of trips to the island, or these cohorts, have you had over the, I think you said 6 years that you've been doing this?
Yeah, yeah, thank you so much for your words, Jaime. Yeah, so 6-7 years. There was a year, of course, when Dr. Hannah was sick and Thomas Fire. I wasn't a part of that one particular year. But I think when this program was up and running, full speed, you know, no pandemic, pre-pandemic, at the height of it all, I think we ran 4 trips. So that would be 4 trips of the max, I think at the time was 34 individuals at the research station. And those were both on 3- and 4-day So 3 and 4 day trips. So gosh, 3, 4 times 5. So maybe we've done around 15 to 20. Of course, we've also done a number. We usually will have some money left over at the end where we provide students whose parents wouldn't allow them to come out. We offer them the opportunity to go out for the day. So we've also done a number of day trips. Like you were saying, Jaime, there's a lot of parents that don't understand that the islands aren't accessible by a car. So you can't imagine the questions we have to answer and prepare parents for by providing parent informational nights and calling home and really encouraging students to come, inviting parents. I see Daniel Cook here. We've had parents come out to the island as chaperones, and man, they had like their experiences were something we should also like check out and do some background work on that. But yeah, probably about
Getting them
20 and
involved
a
on the
number
local
of day
field
trips.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the local field trips, right, Cindy? So they also are welcome to attend the local field trips as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Congratulations. One more question, if I may. What are you looking for in a mentor besides the kind of the time commitment? What kind of qualities are you looking for? Are you looking for a younger individual, older individual, background knowledge on science, or perhaps something else, etc.?
That's
well,
a
one
tough one.
one quality is you've just got to be ready to jump in. It's okay if you haven't had a lot of experience with kids or with this age group, but really coming to it with a desire to make a difference in a kid's life, to connect with somebody, to connect with a kid on that level. So our students, what we want for them is a mentor above all. So if you come with a joyful attitude and you're ready to kind of jump in and be there with the kids and learn with them, that's the main qualification. I think that you need to be in the classroom. Yes, you want to talk to the other parts though?
That's a great question, Jaime. Again, we've had so many different types of mentors, and I've had interview process when we were connected with other grant. We were at one point connected with another grant where we had a little extra money to pay more folks, everywhere from computer science, biology, art, to any number of majors at the college. And we've had great ones in every single one. So I can't really say that environmental science is like the one, like we really hope to see environmental science. We've had all across the board. I think ideally, wouldn't it be awesome to find a student that connected with the demographic? Wouldn't it be great to find a student that could communicate confidently? Yeah, but I don't know if that's the reality all the time. So some students, undergraduates are there to learn from Cindy and the teachers, and some are really ready to deliver a lesson, so it's really kind of across the board. And we've had different levels. We've even named them before, like capstone students, the expectation is a little bit more down to just day trips. Students that are just there to support us for day trips, but I think I support what Cindy's saying, ready to go and responsible, like you are there to guide some middle school students, which is, I don't know. Get ready.
I know what you're talking about.
That's its own skill set. I'll jump in here. Thanks very much.
Yep.
Cindy, for a great presentation. If folks are interested in the opportunities, and then we talked a bit about Capstone, they can always get in touch with me through our website. I just wanted to ask very briefly, as part of these talks, one thing that we like to do is to have our speakers talk a little bit about their own journey, and just very curious about, you're sort of in this unique place now doing environmental education for kids. Was this what you always wanted to do? Was this something that came up serendipitously? People wind up on their path in different ways, and then maybe even just very briefly briefly make some comments from each of you about how you wound up in the position that you're at now.
You want to go first, Cindy, or you want me to go?
Sure. Yeah, I just had to find the unmute button now that everything turned. How did I find myself in this position as a virtual teacher of middle school? That's a great question. I have to say that I think I've always wanted to be a teacher. I think that's been part of who I am for a long time. My parents are both teachers, so it was something that, you know, it goes back to that you can only be what you see. That was definitely a path that I saw pretty clearly early on. And growing up with parents who are teachers, you know, my dad was all for it, and my mom said, whatever you do, don't be a teacher. And so I think I went through kind of a circuitous path of trying a lot of different majors in college, and really I worked in business for a while, and really finding my way back to the pull of working with kids, and education. Formal education was the place I saw myself. And so I started teaching elementary school, and I loved it, but I always gravitated towards the older grades. And so I ended up teaching 6th grade. And then when we moved back to California, then it was time to change my credential, and got the science credential. So part of it was becoming more marketable. Part of it was being able to apply to a lot of different jobs. And if you want to be marketable as a teacher, you get your math or your science or your special ed credential. That helps you find a job. So I would have to say it's partly serendipitous, and it's partly following what is in your heart and what you love. So I tell my daughters who are in college and graduate school right now the same thing, that it's difficult if you're fighting against what you're trying to do. When it starts to feel easy, when it starts to feel like everything's falling into place, that's a pretty good sign that you've found the thing you're good at, and you've found the thing that now you're ready to pursue. So once I started taking more like science-oriented classes, once I started developing my own, I see Sarah, I went through the California Naturalist program with Sarah and learned a lot about local ecosystems. And that got me really fired up to come into my classroom and look at 7th grade science with that lens. And I think it just kind of all came together for me. And then Chris joined our staff. And so we got connected just through that environmental, that interest in environmental work. And so as I was trying to start Eco Club and trying to do things on campus, Chris brought this program to us. And so that's how we got connected, and how I got to be a part of Crossing the Channel. Chris?
Yeah, so how did I get involved in this? You know, what's funny is like every once in a while when you see the gray beard, you know, I know there's a couple gray beards out here too, I see them. And you go, man, I've been at this for 20 years. It's kind of like when you say it out loud, you're like, God damn, 20 years. So how did I get involved with education? I have no idea. Like, I don't know. I don't have the one thing. I do know that I always go back to the idea that there's 2 types of people. And a principal told me this years ago. And there's those folks that struggled in education and those folks who really excelled. I fall into that group of, you know, the folks that struggled. And I think going through college and having opportunities, doors open because of some important people in my life. I think education was a tool for me to change things that I didn't see happening. And I wanted to sort of be a part of that conduit that was happening all around me. Definitely there's some folks in my past that mentored me especially with environmental education. But first and foremost was ethnic studies. So I come from an ethnic studies background, and kind of have moved into this environmental education field, and always mending the two. So yeah, I'm always motivated. I feel like I have the best job in the world. I can do great stuff like take kids to islands and show them new things, and still like have conversations about standards, you know, like, so wow, you know, amazing. I can have fun and always learn more. Yeah.
Do you guys mind if I chime in real quick?
Daniel Cook.
I was a mentor for BWET when I was at Cal State Channel Islands. I was an environmental science major, but my background before that was the military. I was a cook, and then I did some like top secret signal intelligence stuff. So that background did not relate to environmental science or to teaching and all these things, right? So, and then the mentors that I worked with came like, they were saying like psychology backgrounds, teaching backgrounds, other science, history, and yeah, so
Art.
Yeah, lots of art. So it was, yeah, I don't know. The thing we all had in common though, that we were all stoked to be there. And we all were excited to improve, you know, these kids, like either in the moment or hopefully, you know, like long term, and like give them some inspiration, give them some ideas for where to go. And this job like directly led to my job after school. I'm a park ranger with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service now. I work with the California Condor Recovery Program. Yeah.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, and I'd like to echo like what a lot of people have said about like this program and how wonderful it is for young kids to sort of get that opportunity to be involved in nature. It's like definitely something I wish I could have had growing up in San Diego. I grew up like in East County, and there weren't really many options like this. Like by the time I got to sixth grade, they weren't doing sixth grade camp anymore. And so like I kind of missed out on these things that like my siblings had stories about, and I didn't really get to share in those. And it wasn't until I was a junior in high school that I went on my first nature walk in Balboa Park. And so, you know, it's the most like sort of outdoorsy you can kind of get without driving to like the desert or like say Torrey Pines or anything like that. But it's something that definitely got me inspired and started my love for like the native chaparral environment that we have in Southern California. And coming up here to Ventura, I'm kind of bummed that it took me like till this long to realize what BWET was. I'd heard people talk about it. I hadn't really understood what it was exactly. And I wish I would have known so much sooner, because it seems like a great opportunity to get involved in. And I definitely know that it is one thing to know something and another thing to then teach it to someone else who has no experience, and how like valuable that is to your own personal learning. So I love what you guys do. It's amazing. And it is actually past 6 o'clock, I guess. So I'd time keeping there for you, Mia. So yeah, we are officially at a wraps for the club, but I'm sure if our speakers, if you wanted to answer any last final questions, it's up to you, but we can start winding this meeting down, if that's all right with you, Russ.
For sure, yeah, sounds great. And then Chris and Mia, we're on, it's 2 weeks, right? Wednesday, the 24th. And
Yeah.
who is our speaker?
Merrill is our speaker.
Yeah, so that's Merrill McCauley. He's the Marine Law Enforcement Ranger with California Channel Islands National Park. So it's a great perspective for us to see some folks who are on the actual enforcement side. He works a lot with enforcing the marine protected areas and other rules and regulations of the park and interacting with the public. So that'll be a great talk, and it's the same link, right?
Same
Mhm.
link, same time.
And Russ, do you guys advertise primarily over email or Instagram?
So it's both. So we have stuff internally at CI. I broadcast this to a lot of, the schedule. We do, our main social media is our Instagram post we have, specific posts about this. And so we will have another one come up, and we're continuing to get speakers and book out the rest of the schedule. But this is the first of, I believe, 6. We have 6 events that are every
Awesome.
second Wednesday. They're always at Wednesday at 5 o'clock, same Zoom link. And we will, we will always talk about the next speaker. And when we fill out the whole schedule, we will update that as well. But we have quite a, diverse array of folks from different backgrounds and on different subjects. And this is all really about engaging our community, both at Cal State Channel Islands and across the larger community, as Chris talked about, to talk about just the unique, diverse, interdisciplinary nature of how we're all connected to this unique environment and its natural and cultural history. So yeah, I'm just very excited to be able to support Chris and Mia and this in our student organization, this virtual space. We did these in person before on campus, and we hope to again eventually, but we're going to keep these going. All of these talks are recorded, and they're available on our YouTube channel, which you can get to from our website as well. So, and please feel free, everyone who's attended here today, to pass on, if other folks are interested in the Channel Islands from across the larger community. I know we have some students, we have some community members here. Please continue to come to these events. Let other folks know there's all kind of resources that we have. And especially in this virtual time, we're part of some larger collaborations. There's a really cool project, thevirtualfields.org, which has a whole bunch of resources that many field stations across the US and internationally have worked to put together to create more virtual resources in this unique time that we're in now, and then just going forward in general. So thank you, everyone, for attending, and thank you, Chris and Mia, and thank you so much to Chris and Cindy for your talk today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Cool.
thank you, Russell.
Awesome.
Bye, everybody.
Chris,
Bye. Good to see everyone.